Kingston Police Recorded Line, Dispatcher Odell.
Hi, this is Bob Fennessy, the Town Administrator.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good. The Chairman of the Board of Selectmen just asked for a police officer to be down here. There's some antagonistic parties in the meeting.
Oh, so there's a meeting and
yep.
It's not, is it being violent or is it just...
She's concerned, yes. She's concerned about leaving here and the way they were acting, so...
So is the meeting over, or
no? It's still going on.
Okay.
It'll probably be over about 7:15.
Okay. Is it the main meeting hall upstairs?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Selectmen's meeting.
Okay, right. What's your name again? I'm sorry.
It's Bob Fennessy, Fennessy, and the Town Administrator.
Right. Okay. All right. I'll send someone up.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, bye.
If anybody's here to speak to open forum, feel free to come to the microphone. And while you're getting up there, I'm going to just go through some procedural things. You can, open forum is meant to discuss, let's see, where we go. So make sure I say it correctly. Okay, the open forum shall generally be limited to announcements of events and accomplishments that are of public interest to the community. The board adopted these guidelines and rules back in October. If there's any discussion that's to be of any substance that needs a back and forth with the Board of Selectmen, you've got two options to get your information to us. You can make an appointment with Mr. Fennessy. Anytime, go to the office, call, walk in, make an appointment with Mr. Fennessy. Or your other option is to ask for an appointment on our agenda. And if you want an appointment on the agenda, that's fine. We would just need any information you're going to be discussing the Thursday prior, so we would know what your questions and concerns are, so we could be prepared for a valuable discussion on the following Tuesday. These meetings are business meetings. This is where we conduct the town's business in public, guided and by an agenda that needs to be posted ahead of time, and we stick to the topics on the agenda, so as to make sure that we comply with the open meeting law. So those are the processes available in town to talk to us. You have an announcement or something, you can come talk to us here. Anything other than that, of any substance, would be going through the Mr. Fennessy or as an agenda item. So all that being said, if you'd like to identify yourself.
John Michael Fonts. I just had a question. The additional items that are on the agenda, are those going to be open to any type of discussion from the public at all?
No.
So the additional items are not part of like public discussion whatsoever?
No, and that's where, again, if you want to talk about something specific, you can make an appointment with Mr. Fennessy. If you want to make an appointment now, he can pull out his book and you can make it, or you can pick a particular item and we can put it back on the agenda for another meeting.
Okay, so when it's an additional item, then it doesn't become part of the public discourse?
Correct.
But the other items on the agenda are open to public discourse?
No, typically the only things that are open for discussion are public hearings.
Okay.
But again, we're not limiting any discussion whatsoever. You can either have a conversation with Mr. Fennessy in his office, or if you want to have a conversation on TV, that's perfectly fine as long as it's on the agenda. Okay. And we have enough information the Thursday before so we can get up to speed and be prepared to have a discussion.
But the additional items aren't considered like part of the agenda then?
No, they are. All these items are posted, so that's part of the agenda.
So they can they be discussed or no?
Not through the public, no.
So like if we have questions on the items, we can't ask them here when they're being just like decided by you guys? Is that correct?
Correct. This is town business, correct.
Right, but the people can't like ask questions on those items on the agenda?
Not at this particular meeting. We can always put something back on the agenda.
Is there a reason why this meeting we can't?
That's the protocol it's been all along.
So something's on the agenda to be discussed and or decided by the board, and the people aren't allowed to like ask questions or inquire or participate in that in any regard. That's how it's always been.
Yes, that's not how it's always been.
That's what you just said. I'm just trying to understand.
The process is there is no public back and forth unless it's a public hearing. Depending on the topic, like for example, when we had the discussions about the Hall property, that was not a public hearing, but it was known ahead of time we were going to be taking public input.
Okay.
So.
Solicited it.
Right.
But generally, a public hearing is something that is notified to the public, requesting the public's input, those for, those against, and we cut off discussion, we deliberate, we make a decision. Other items that are agenda items, if you bring it, you can speak. Otherwise, it's essentially like the community gets to sit in on what's otherwise a committee meeting, is more or less what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So basically the reason like it's posted for the public is just so if the public wants to come in and sit and watch.
So that they know what's going on, or if they are concerned about what they hear, you could get on the agenda, come back, ask for the matter that you heard to be your matter, and then we talk about it.
I guess I have some concern with that, because if something's going to be decided upon by the board, like, for example, if something's on the agenda tonight, just as an example, and it's going to be discussed and there's a potential decision being made, the only recourse for the people in town can't be, well, I want that to be like scheduled for another day so I can like then discuss it, because if the decision's being made, then it's made. Do you understand my concern? I mean, that's concerning to me.
Well, ideally, what happens is the agenda gets posted, and if you have something specifically you want addressed or you have questions, you contact us.
Right, but the problem is Ms.
Ahead of
Fiore.
time.
I understand that, but Ms. Fiore just said that we'd have to contact the Thursday prior, but a lot of times
No,
agendas
that's
are only...
just to put it on the agenda. But say there's something that concerns you here. It gets
Right.
posted on Thursday, you call one of us up. Hey, this is up. These are my concerns. These are my questions. And then we could bring them ahead of time. The thing is, this is, like Lindsay says, this is a committee meeting, basically. It's a
Right.
business meeting. So it's generally not open to the public unless it's a public hearing. But we represent you.
Right.
Reach out to us. Hey, these are my concerns. These are my issues. And I'm sure you've heard us. Hey, you know what? People have reached out to me and said this. You know what? And we differ on a lot of things because of that. Somebody will say, you know what? I've had 7 different people contact me about this, but people will see the agenda and they'll reach out to us before the meeting so we can have our, hey, these are the concerns from the public. So this is how it was supposed to be done. That's how it's set up to be. So reach out to us. Contact us, email us, call me. Everybody knows where I live.
Right. I mean, I guess my concern is just like, again, as a citizen of the town, I appreciate like transparency. So I like to, when I do things, I like to do it in a transparent way. So I don't like to just reach out like where no one else in town can like see me or hear from me, because then it's like people don't know like what you're discussing and what's going on. So my whole purpose of coming in to the Board of Selectmen meetings where it's televised for like everyone else in town is so that people can participate from home, seeing like the discourse and understanding the back and forth. Whereas if I'm emailing and or calling, the rest of the people in town like don't see that, and they're not privy to it. So like there's people in town that, again, they're elderly, they're not going to drive at nighttime or whatever it may be. And if I'm just having like discussions via email or the phone or whatever it may be, although the nature of those discussions may be completely innocent, the fact of the matter is it's not transparent to the rest of the people in town. So,
well, the concern is that we breach the open meeting law.
I understand that.
That's the concern with
right. No,
because that's financial fines. That's serious consequences.
And it's not unusual for us to get a correspondence from a concerned citizen and read it saying we've got this letter from so and so, or we've gotten this email from so and so, and the public back and forth that you want. We put it on the agenda because we'd like the opportunity to be able to give you some concrete answers or have a discussion, but we can't necessarily do that if you're asking us questions that you've formulated and we're going to sit here and say, I don't know, we have to check on that. It's just to be able to have a concrete discussion about it.
There's also a logistical issue. If every single item is open for discussion, everybody who has an appointment, at 6:10, it becomes 9 o'clock before they're heard. And plus, there has to be certain things where, by virtue of a position, you've been delegated by the people who voted with certain discretion to vote on X, to do Y, things that happen in the clerk's office. If every single decision Paul Gallagher has to make every day is open to public comment or something, he'd never get anything done. Likewise with our board, if something's not a public hearing or it's not on the agenda, for you to raise a concern, or you didn't submit something that you asked to be read into the record, which could be your opinion, you can always do that. Or you saw something that got posted Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you called the selectman's office and said, can you at least let the board know that I'd like that to be open to discussion, then you're on record for that. Otherwise we'll never get anything accomplished, and we won't be prepared for whatever you want.
And there have been plenty of instances where we hear from the public, and obviously there's different opinions and everything, and that at least every one of us said, there are more questions. Let's bring it back to another meeting. Mm. But that's because people do contact us. We're not just up here not listening, but people do email us and call us and come to and that's what is set up. Email us. Hey, we've got several concerns, and it's brought out these questions, that I'm aware of your questions. That's the process, and that prevents an open meeting law violation.
No, I understand that, and as a citizen of the town, I wouldn't expect you or want you to do that, to commit an open meeting law violation, because at the end of the day, you represent the people, so we don't want you doing those types of things either. So that's not the intention. However, with all due respect to Mr. Wilson, it does seem like the town is still getting stuff done. It doesn't seem like people coming in here and asking questions and inquiring is, impeding on our government from doing what they need to do.
Well, I wasn't saying that. I'm saying because we operate the way we do get things done. But if every single matter is open to public comment, it would slow the process down. I think it started to head in that direction, right. And we got concerned that all of our agenda items were getting bumped down. Things were being raised, topics were being discussed that had not been publicly noticed, improperly noticed. We were getting hit with questions that if they were an agenda item, we might have been in a position better able to respond. So that's why we are, back in October, decided to kind of regroup and confirm what's really the purpose of open forum, and let's try to direct things back to being on the agenda.
Right.
And anyone can raise things and be on the agenda whenever they want.
Right, but it sounds to me like, again, if it's on the agenda, then it should be open to discussion.
Mr. Fonts, it isn't. This is a perfect example. One individual who has a couple of comments for us, we have an appointment at 6:10, 6:20, and 6:30. So we're already late for 2 appointments that we have scheduled these people for, who may have to do something after this because we scheduled that. This is what it's going, and that's the way it is. It's
okay. May I suggest then that we perhaps start scheduling less items so that it allows time to speak?
Mr. Fonts,
why can't it only go in one direction? Why can't we adjust the schedule?
We're not going to have this debate tonight. You've got 2 choices to be able to communicate your concerns. One is a meeting with Mr. Fennessy, which you've stated you want something public. So,
absolutely.
Okay, so you're not going to have an appointment with Mr. Fennessy.
You want an agenda.
Okay, so your only other option is to request an appointment on an agenda and provide us the information on the Thursday so we can be prepared to have that conversation.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, but we're late for 2 appointments, so you have 1 minute.
Thank you, Daniel Harlow. Just to let you know, I don't think we're late just because of Mr. Fonts' comments.
Mr. Harlow?
No, because
Mr. Harlow,
it seems like you're implying that the open forum is what's delaying everything.
Mr. Harlow?
Bang it all you wish. That being said, my question is actually to this board in general, is I believe at a meeting prior, there was a discussion that was held that said that if you want to discuss an agenda item, for example, like one of the 13, to actually ask about it in open forum about discussing it later. So it seems like you're backtracking on that. That's my question with regard to that.
We found that we're going back to the way it was originally done for years.
Is that a written policy?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, is it possible to obtain a copy of that written policy?
Yeah.
The original one?
Sure.
Okay. The other question is why the change all of a sudden with the open forum?
That was done in October because, again, we have scheduled appointments with people
Correct.
who have called the office to make appointments with us, and they have been pushed along down the line. And that's the purpose of instituting what open forum is, based on the fact that, again, we cannot discuss things that we're not aware of and that aren't posted. So it needs to be a general conversation, and it's as simple as announcements.
But isn't that something...
Mr. Harlow, we're not having this conversation.
I'm trying
No, we're not, no. We're not having the conversation.
I mean, you had a conversation.
We are not having the
conversation.
conversation.
About how transparent
If
Mr.
you
Fennessy
continue
was.
speaking, I'm going to ask the booth to mute the microphone.
Let them mute the mic.
Okay.
It doesn't affect me. It just shows how intransparent
Please, would
you guys are acting.
Okay.